I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky.
Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Dara and I do weekly videos about reading, mostly about reading and a little bit of writing. And today I just wanted to talk about the books I read in September. It is going to be a short video because I only read 4 books and I DNF'd 2, but I still wanted to put this video out because all over BookTube and Bookstagram I see people commenting on other people's posts when they can read like 10 or more books a month. They're like, I don't understand how you can do that. I can only read like 2 or 3, and some people can only read 1 book a month, and that is fine. There should be no competition when it comes to reading because it is something that we all love to do, whether it's to escapism, or just to experience multiple lives, or maybe this is how you relieve your stress. And if you only read 1 book a month, that is totally fine. That does not make you any less of a reader, or it doesn't make you less than another person who can read 10 books a month. So while in August I think I read 11 books, this month in September I only read 4. So everyone has ups and downs, and it is 100% okay. But yeah, I almost didn't put this video out because I was like, oh, only 4 books, like people are gonna think I'm slacking or something. But like I just said, it's fine. We should never let ourselves think that. So if you don't read very many books a month, that is okay. It's all good. And if you read 50 books a month, wow, good job for you too. So let's get into the books. If you saw my last wrap up, I was on a Philippa Gregory kick and I was reading as many books of hers as I could, and I started out September continuing that trend. I only read 2 of her books this month. The first one was The Taming of the Queen, and the next one was The Queen's Fool. And I did notice that we are kind of veering away from the Queen of England, and because usually we hear from her side of the story, but now we're going into sort of side characters. For instance, The Taming of the Queen, we were following Catherine, and she is the lover of the king, and so it's like one step removed from the crown. And then in The Queen's Fool, we are actually following a younger Jewish girl, which is an interesting thing because back then they were really heavily frowned upon. They thought you had to be a Catholic or this new Christian. Religion played a big part in this book, but it was good. Not as good as her other ones. I gave that one a 3-star, but I gave The Taming of the Queen a 4-star. I can't give too much of each book away because while they can all be read standalones, I think they are better when you read them in the order that they are supposed to be read in. It reads like a timeline, like a movie. It's more fluid, and you understand all the characters that are in the casting or in the books. And yeah, so I did read those 2. Not as good as before, but as like her previous ones, but I think I just really enjoyed reading from inside the royal family. And the next book I read was The Wives by Tarryn Fisher, and I have got to tell you, this is the second worst book I read all year. I did not enjoy it. I liked the first half, right? And I was like, this is so fascinating, this is so cool. And then all of a sudden, literally in the middle of the book, I was like, they had to go throw a curveball, which wasn't even that good of a curveball. And it kind of ruined it for me. I did not like this book. It was definitely just a 2-star. But in this book, we are following the main character who's married, and her husband is a polygamist, so there are 3 wives total. And she finds a piece of paper that is a doctor's note in her husband's pocket, and starts to wonder, starts to ask questions, even though it's not really okay in their relationship. They agreed to keep all the wives separate, and they have their own spaces, their own homes. He just visits each one on a schedule, right? Well, the main character, the main wife, finds a ominous note, starts to dig around, and it's kind of like the trope, do you really know your husband? Do you really know who you're with? Questions come up. And I can't really say more than that because it'll start to get spoilery. I will say this book in some of my Facebook groups has been super polarizing. Like, you either love it or you hate it. I personally hated it. It has a good idea, but it just wasn't, it wasn't very good to me. The best book that I read this last month, I gave 4 stars, and that is You Love Me by Carolyn Kepnes. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. This is the 3rd book in the You series, where we're following Joe Goldberg, who was like a stalker, who like was mentally, he had some issues, right? He's had some issues going on up there. But tell me why in this 3rd book, I was actually kind of sort of on Joe's side. I know that is weird to say because he was so crazy in the first 2 books, but you can kind of see him trying. He's trying to change his ways, right? He's trying not to be, really, he's just trying to stay out of trouble, because he did get in trouble with the law. I hope that's not a spoiler. I don't know. It's hard to talk about books that are in series, but I love reading series, so that is what it is. But and I saw on Goodreads there's going to be more of Joe Goldberg, so I hope it stays good. Sometimes series just kind of should stop where they stop. We'll see. I will be picking the other one up and reading it as well, but this was the best book that I read all month. 4 stars, 3 stars for the Philippa Gregory's, and 2 to the Wives. Now let's talk about the 2 books I DNF'd. Yeah, like I said, September was not my best reading month. I felt sort of slumpy, but I also picked up 2 books that I stopped reading. First one is Inland by Taya Obrate, which is disappointing because it is beautiful. I love the way this book looks. And this one is talking, this one is set place in the 1890s in the Arizona Territory. And it is following a woman who's like, all the men in her life have left for one reason or another. Her husband went to try to get water with her oldest son. Her youngest son had to go to school, and like they're just struggling very badly. There's a really bad, like severe drought. No one has any water. It sounded really dire, and like it just sounded really good, and like I was rooting for an amazing story of like heroism with this lead female, right? And I just can't read it. I started it and I got a few chapters in and was so bored. Like, I honestly dreaded trying to read more of this book. And will I give it another chance? Maybe. Maybe there'll come another time in the next year or so where I'm like, that might work out right now. You know, I like to give books multiple chances. So I'm not going to say I will never read this, but right now it did not hold my interest and it made me dread picking it up, so I had to stop reading it. This book is going to be a shock, I think, and that is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I will say I tried the audiobook and I tried physically reading this, and this is the 2nd time that I've started it. I will not be picking this book up again. It doesn't hold my interest. It is such a good premise, and I hated it in the audiobook. I think it's just like the accent thing, but they pronounced it Evelyn, and I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it did. This one is really cool sounding, and it is lovely to look at. Oh, it's so beautiful. It kind of reminds me of that game Clue, where you have to guess who the murderer is, because you know that someone dies. Evelyn Hardcastle. And so you're going through all these characters in the book. You wake up as different characters and you go throughout the day and you're trying to figure out who it is that killed her, and you're gonna try to stop it. But I can't even explain it. I also began dreading this. It was boring to me. Like, there wasn't really any action. It's just all like dialogue, which I get. Some people can really enjoy, like, just, it's almost like eavesdropping in a conversation and you have to put the clues together like that. It wasn't for me, and I've tried multiple times, so I think when we get back to the States, if there's like a half price near me, I'm gonna turn it in for store credit so it can go to someone who really wants it and I can get a different book that's better. But yeah, second or third time that I've tried reading it, and it's not for me. I'm not here for it. I don't want to read it. So that's all I read in September and all I tried reading. But yeah, let me know how you guys did in your reading in the last month, and hopefully we all have great reading months in October. I love reading in the spooky time, and this is actually, we're coming up on the time we're moving in just a few months, so I'm really looking forward to it. This time next year, hopefully we're in somewhere that's actually like cooling down. It is gloomy though, I will say. At least we have a serious rainy season, so fall has been actually pretty good to us on Guam as well so far. But anyways, I hope you guys are reading great books, and I really appreciate you watching this. Please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.